Now, the main point I wanted to get to is that I came up with an idea recently that I wanted to do. An idea, and this idea is this. Back in the day, okay, during the 90's, one of the biggest things for a lot of people to do was 70's parties, where everybody dressed up in close in the airs, bell bottoms, leisure suits, afros, stuff like that. You know, that was a big thing in the 90's. Recently, the biggest thing was 80's parties, where people dressed up like people from the 80's, like how they dressed up in the 80's, like the fashion and stuff. You know, it was 80's music and, you know, a lot of stuff they did for fun, and that's a big thing. It's been done so much. So I came up with the idea, why not do a 90's party? Basically do a party where everybody dressed up in the clothes like how it was in the 90's, and people was like, not much has changed, but some of the styles hasn't changed. But the thing is, in the 90's, the biggest popular thing is that everything was baggy. Everybody wore baggy stuff. Like, my nose itching. You know, it had to be a few sizes bigger than what your actual size was. Like, everything was big. Jerseys were huge back in the 90's. Like, it didn't even matter. Like, it was like, you know, people wore baseball jerseys, basketball jerseys, football jerseys. They even wore hockey jerseys. You know, that was huge. You know, the whole starter clothing, you know, when everything starter, the starter hats, you know, the starter baseball hats and stuff like that. You know, this was before the days of New Era. You know, before New Era had picked up everything. You know. And, you know, the shoes back then was like either Air Jordans or Timberlands. You know, and just do somewhere like play 90's music, and then like do games where it's like 90's trivia, you know, comparative trivia and stuff like that. Like, you know, I want to actually start a movement on this. You know, people who remember that time period, who want to relive it at least one day, you know, out of the year. Do a 90's party, 90's theme party, to where like everybody did how they looked back then. You know, the clothing they wore. You know, for women, if the kind of makeup you wore, because makeup was different in the 90's. Like, it was a different look. You know how they did makeup back then. You know, different colors and stuff like that. You know, just pretty much, you know, do that, make that a huge movement. Because a lot of us, especially people around, you know, from their mid-20's to my age and even a little bit older, a lot of us miss the 90's because of the stuff, you know. Here's another thing. The 90's was pretty much the last full decade where they had Saturday morning cartoons. You know, in the early 2000s, there was some Saturday morning cartoons, but it pretty much now has died off, you know. And, you know, because of cable, you know, there's more cartoons being played on cable on a regular basis. Cartoon Network's trying to get rid of cartoons, period, because for some reason they're starting to show live action shows and reality shows. It's like, it's fine on other networks. Not a network called Cartoon Network. That's just retarded. But I'll rant on that another time. But I've already like did a thing about that and my distaste for that. You know, I know people remember, you know, the whole era of Power Rangers and the Power Ranger clones. You remember all that. You know, it was called the Orlando era on Nickelodeon and Disney, where both of these companies filmed everything in Orlando, Florida. You know, Which kind of makes me mad because now Universal Studios in Orlando, they took out the slime geyser. And that was like the one thing I was actually looking forward to see. And actually, because I know it was like green water. Because it wasn't like the actual slime that they had on, But, sinuses. But I missed it because they took it out. That kind of pissed me off. I'm like, damn you, Universal Studios. Disney kind of pissed me off with the Alien Encounter thing, because Alien Encounter used to be awesome, and then they turned it into some Lilo and Stitch shit. That kind of made me mad. But beyond that, what I was saying, just try to make this a movement. 90s parties, for anybody who's lived during that time, who enjoyed that time, who missed the 90s, do 90s parties. That'll make things all the more awesome. For all of us who done it, just take your mind off of a lot of things. Make you feel better about stuff. If it can brighten up the rest of the year. I can't talk today. If it can brighten up the rest of your year, do it. 90s parties are freaking awesome. Just do. That's a big deal. I'm currently working on trying to plan it out. Try to get some people together to help me plan this. One of our own. But, let's make this a movement. Let's have it to where this becomes popular. To where they start talking about it on the news and stuff like that. Just do 90s parties. Maybe do something where you show Martin on TV. Like old episodes of old TV shows from that time, show it on TV. Fucking play the music from that time. Dress up like you're from that time. Like everything. Just for one night. Do that. It'll be a fun time. Guarantee it. Well, that's about it for now, because it's like really late. It's 4 in the morning. And it's because I've been having this bit of insomnia lately. It's not too bad. It happens every once in a while throughout every month or so. I'll have like a few days or a week or something like that to where I can't sleep at an early time, where I gotta like stay up late and get myself tired out. So freaking bipolar disorder. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me for now. Pretty much, hopefully I'll try to make more videos soon. That'll pretty much be it.